One though. Oh, War of the Gods. War of the Gods. That's a tough read. I interviewed George Pérez uh, a couple years ago now, and War of the Gods. Um, Good idea, but didn't get the support he needed to get it through because at the time, and well, it's not understandably so. At the time, really, even if Perez was doing Wonder Woman, no one cared about Wonder Woman. That was the thing with War of the Gods, um, and it made for a very fractured read. And I've wrote about it to myself a few times. I'm still working on something about War of the Gods. It comes out in Omni, so that's nice. You get a chunk of what goes on in DC in like 1992, 91, 92, and it gets back to they took a different direction with that Armageddon 2001, which was also horrible. DC in the 90s, not its best time. I would argue that it was the 1986 to 1992 really where you see this era of comics where great things were taking place. All the canonized works we think about when we think about graphic novels and comics, Dark Knight Returns, Watchmen, they come out of that 1986 to 1992 era, right before Image takes off, right? So DC was kind of in a tough spot. All the stuff that was happening from 86 onward, all the post-crisis stuff, all these changes. By the time 1992 was coming, they were at a loss for the identity. So everything started changing by 92. And it's even though this was 91, and by 93 we see Death of Superman, and that totally changes what's going on with the genre at the time. So I like 86 to 92. It's this era of ambition that a lot takes place. And then we see a change afterward, and we get the 90s holographic covers and the Image era and the baggage that comes along with that. It's not to say there might not be good storytelling. And something like War of the Gods, where Perez is doing some, it's appreciated now, right? But at the time, I don't believe it was. But Perez was really focused on plotting, on writing, on developing this character. And granted, his name recognition was helping the book along. And it's only now with the first Wonder Woman movie that we see the impact that his long run on Wonder Woman had. It should be regarded for its the ambition that it was. Some may just give it a but if you put it at the time and what we saw with Wonder Woman before Perez, it was groundbreaking and earth-shattering for this character. Perez was the first to want to do Wonder Woman and take the character where it had not been before. And that still resonates, regardless of other realities currently about who's buying comics, what are the sales figures like. That doesn't matter as much as the development of the character and its predominance. So anyway, War of the Gods, an ambitious idea to try to bring in all these pantheon characters with Captain Marvel / Shazam, the Greek gods, Roman gods, all this. But Perez just didn't get the support. And what was the worst part of War of the Gods is that Karen Berger was on maternity leave. So she couldn't give Perez the support he needed at the time. And the whole story just kind of got away from everyone. But it's out there. It exists. You can read it. I feel like I'm going to do the whole show on War of the Gods. It's worth writing about. It's worth talking about. It's something that has an effect and influence. This is not where I expected to go today, but my interview with Perez, and Perez is not in the best health now, but my interview with Perez is going to be in an edited collection out of University of Mississippi Press sometime soon. So maybe by the time this drops, I'll have more info. But I had a good time talking to him. And I have the whole raw interview ready. But I haven't decided what I'd like to do with it again yet. But yeah, that's a digression. Just from random draw with the War of the Gods cards. I didn't expect to, I don't have Well, it took me to DC trivia. So should I keep going or is this enough? I'll have to decide later. So let's just drop the Batman cards. Let's try some Wonder Woman cards and see where we go. So I'm going to select a question at random, and yes, I think War of the Gods deserves a longer dive, as well as Perez's entire run of Wonder Woman, and it's something I'm still, and others have written about it, but I think I have a particular angle. That's something I want to look into, and maybe you were reading War of the Gods 1 through 4. Well, to be continued for another time on that. All right, these are the questions today from the Wonder Woman card. I did all that without any lighting because a little bit better, a little bit worse, doesn't matter. Okay. When an Amazon wishes to court another, what do they present their object of affection with? Yeah, I don't know. What would the Amazons do? No, part of me just wants to talk about War of the Gods for another 6 minutes and call it a day. One wonders if I should just do that. Oh well, I've started. I'm committed. Maybe somebody out there is curious about the Amazons when they court one another, because I have no idea what the context would be here. All right, well, let's see what's next. Who was I Ching's villainous daughter? I took a couple weeks off from doing these shows, but I'd like to think that my recall would be better than this. I Ching, are we talking about the 60s Wonder Woman with the white outfit? Is that what we're doing with this one? Where we could just have Diana Prince and her little go-go get up and kung fu stuff? I think that's what we're doing here. Yeah, I read those, and they're forgettable. They're not great. And it goes to that DC, National at the time, whatever you want to call it, Warner Brothers now, whatever the state of DC Comics may be. In order to hold that copyright, they had to, and still do, need to publish constantly. That's why Wonder Woman still exists, because DC's not giving up that trademark. Warner or whatever. So anyway, not the finest hour for the 60s Diana Prince Wonder Woman. Again, you can look at Ages of Wonder Woman, a collection that came out in 2013. I contributed an article to that. I'll put the link down again. But no, I don't know who her villainous daughter was. That's my long way around that question. Not doing well today. Bronze Age. What did Nazi helmet Stryker use while battling Wonder Woman? What did he use? Bronze Age Wonder Woman. That's a tough one. What did he use? I don't know. Not doing well. Let me talk about War of the Gods some more. I know. Okay. And pre-crisis continuity. Ugh. Which languages could Wonder Woman speak? Oh. Pre-crisis. I'm just going to go and say she could speak all of them, because that sounds like something any pre-crisis superhuman or other could do. Because, again, in the Pérez run, she comes in speaking ancient Greek, and that's it, and she has to learn English and other languages. But for the sake of pre-crisis suspension of disbelief, I'm going to say Wonder Woman could speak any language, just like Superman can and all that stuff. So maybe I can get one right here. That would be nice today, wouldn't it? All right, so up next. The name of the Nemesis who was obsessed with working out every single angle of a caper. Oh, is this Angle Man? Angle Man. If I had my Who's Who's, which are upstairs, I'd bring it out now, and we would share the joy of the insanity of Angle Man. I think Angle Man is a thing, and it bugs me, but I'm not gonna for another day. I'm sure I'll find a wiki link. We'll see if it's even real. If not, it should be. Angle man. Why else would you do the angle in parens? Or parens. Quotes. All right. Ready for answers? Oh, no, I'm not. Let me mark this as an X. I broke my pencil. I broke my pencil. There's your X on that one. And the answers are... a coconut. When an Amazon wishes to court another, they do it with coconuts. Who knew that coconuts were on Themyscira / Paradise Island? Again, my reference is Pérez, and I must have missed the whole coconut angle. I have to learn more about coconuts. So I'll do a wiki link to coconuts in the description. And read the descriptions. You know, I know most descriptions people are just asking for Patreon money, but I like to put references in my descriptions because that's just who I am. All right, so the next was the I Ching's villainous daughter, Lu Shan. Now, I just did a comic dive where we talked about cultural stereotypes and whatnot, and you know the Wonder Woman Diana Prince run is coming in the kung fu unquote era, and that's a dive for another day. That's a tough read nowadays, even when you're situated back in the 70s. It's the exploitation stuff, and it's getting more and more uncomfortable. There it is. Next up was Bronze Age Nazi helmet guy, the Red Panzer. What name did he use? So I totally read this wrong, but I wouldn't have known who the Red Panzer was anyway. I read that as, like, what weapon did he use while battling? See, that's what happens when I don't do a close read of the questions. Red Panzer is his name. And I get one right. Yes, every language, including the language of cave people, cavemen, as well as Martian languages. So great for Silver Age Wonder Woman that she can speak every language, known and unknown. And yes, again, I'm so happy that Angle Man exists, that it's not just in my head, and there's Angle Man. So, I can tell that the resources of this laptop are getting mad at me, which tells me I might be out of time, and I feel like I should do a larger headspace dive on War of the Gods, and maybe after I read it again, because I have a lot of omnis, I might give it a go. But again, I wanted to point out for the recap, the thing about War of the Gods is that it is the end of the Pérez era. And it says more about how that era changed and maybe got away from what Pérez wanted to do. And it goes more to the editorial changes at the time that we see in comics. And again, this also happened with the Justice League International. As soon as Giffen and Demantis left, it goes to... well, the stuff in Superman happened beforehand, but it opens the door up to the death of Superman. We're looking at death of Robin. It's going to gradually get into Bane and Nightfall with the back-breaking stuff. Anything DC could do to the Hal Jordan going insane, that comes right out of Death of Superman anyway. And Wonder Woman doing nothing in particular, except gradually John Byrne takes over the title. Oh, wait a minute. I'm forgetting what happens before all that. That's the Artemis arc, and a discussion for another time. A lot of cheesecake going on with that. Anyway, so I'm done. That's how I'm feeling today, and to be continued, definitely on that regard. And that's all. I'm gonna go.